Why did I feel compelled to give this khutbah to you today? Because we're living in a time where we're seeing the consequences of justice being withheld. When one life matters more than another. When the taking of one life creates a rampage in a community, and justifiably so. And when it does so, it only creates more chaos. So I take you back to where I began. Allah says, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاتٌ. Allah says, in fair retribution, if you can actually do justice, on the one hand, letting go of your biased love towards, and on the other hand, letting go of your biased hatreds towards another. If you can let go of those two, and actually as a society, as a community, as cities, implement justice, if you can do so, and as the nation, if you can do so, then what happens? Life happens. وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاتٌ. There's life in this for you. Because when you don't do this, it only perpetuates the cycle of death. More hatred, more violence, more crime, more tension. Look at the kind of spiteful rhetoric that is now invading the web, that is invading social media as a result of the fire that's been lit. Because qisas isn't there. Because that retribution isn't there. People can demonize it as Sharia law all they want. These are universal principles of justice. These are things that any family, the victim of a crime, the family of any victim would want this. This is what they would want. If you didn't say the name Islam and just describe to them, would you consider this to be fair? They would say, yeah, I wish I had that. Universally they would say it. You bring Islam into the equation and their bias against Islam says, no, of course not. But otherwise, this is the deen of fitrah. I compel all of you personally to understand something. The worst case scenario is the taking of a life. In these ayat, the worst case scenario is the taking of a life. But there are injustices that are much less than that you and I are guilty of every day. And we have to really, truly check ourselves. Because at every one of those occasions, you and I have to ask ourselves, are you and I willing to stand in front of Allah and say we did the right thing? We were fair. We didn't let our love get in the way of justice, and we didn't let our hate get in the way of justice. There are fathers in the audience. Some of them have an extra love for one son, an extra hate for another son. And they've kept that love and hate from giving justice to their children. They've done that. And they have to stand in front of Allah and answer for that. That's not justice, that's not an injustice that one son deserved over the other. There are people in this audience that have forgiven and have really not forgiven, even though they said they've forgiven. Either you let go or you don't. Be fair. Be fair in your dealings. There are people in this audience and around the world that have done wrong in business, that haven't paid back a loan, that have said hurtful, unjustified things, that have made accusations, and they don't want to take it back, and they don't want to be held accountable. And they don't want to be embarrassed to admit that they did something wrong. Our own pride gets in the way of admitting that we've done something wrong. If your pride is more valuable to you and it's more dearer to you than the idea of having to stand in front of Allah and explain yourself, then hold on to it. And if not, then stand by justice.